Okay, so lots of updates. I've got some dummy data inserted into Payload, and we're now pulling it into the front end. Actually, ended up not doing it as an API. There's a local API setting for Payload, so um, I'm I'm running Payload and Remix off the same Express server, which is allowing me to just load data um, directly into Remix from Payload, which is it's really cool. Not probably going to go over that on this video, but what I wanted to talk about was last video I mentioned that there is uh, a uh, collection field that has an array that gives an array object, and that one is called a rich text field, which I can just show it real quick. So that's this text field here. So we're within the one of the portfolio items, and we have this field which has this what you see is what you get editor up top, and it lets you quickly create styled text. So it's returning an array of objects, and it's an unknown depth of objects. So I had to use a recursive function to deal with that, which I was going to go over today, but I'll go really quickly over what's been done so far. So I've put some dummy content in. There's two portfolio projects and two posts. The Everything is working on the home page. The header, which flips from the top to the bottom, is done. So on mobile, that's kind of in the way. So on mobile, we have the little rocket logo, which eventually I'd like to animate these little bars across. So when that opens, it turns to this other shape, this little X with the bars animated behind it, and perhaps the rocket blasting off. So I'm still looking into some ideas on how to do that. I'm thinking like a Lodi file. Um, just do it in After Effects, but we'll figure that out later. If anybody's got some ideas on how to do that, that'd be awesome. Uh, so yeah, we've got a light and dark mode. It's probably better to show on the desktop version. So yeah, so it's got a light and dark mode, and the links are done, and there's a page for single portfolios, which is what we're working on right now. So we just showed that section here where we've got the heading 1, some list items. There's lots more, but that's all I've styled so far. Um, and that's the output. So what we're getting is this description field here. I'm going to make that a bit bigger. I think my image is over it. Okay, so we get this description field, which is an array of objects. And within those objects, if you see, some of these have children. Well, pretty much all of them have children. What happens is if an array has or if an object has a child, then that's going to have another array of objects inside it, uh, which gives us our unknown depth. So the current issue I'm dealing with right now is I've got something like this where I've got this body of text here, and it's broken up by a single word that's in italic, which could be any kind of, it could be an italic or bold or something like that. So it's created a bit of a problem because at this point we need to output the parent, which is a P tag, um, but we don't find out if it's italic until a little further in one function later. So it's become a problem. So I'm going to have to do something that can quickly check inside. So it's going to have to check inside, which I think is going to be a bit of a performance hit, but I'm still playing around with it. And if anyone sees somewhere I screwed this up royally, then definitely let me know. So here we go. Here's the function. So I took the serialize function. I took most of it from the Payload website. They have an example of how to deal with a field. And then we added the typing in and made it so that it would export JSX. So here we go. So we're passing in the content, which was that, just flip back, which is this description array. And then from there, we're going to go through each individual element of the array and check if that, we've called it a node, but check if that node is a node's got they're all strings. So if the type, I should have showed that too. So for instance, here's the H1. So inside that node, we've got children and type. So first we'll check the type. If it's H1 or any of the headings, we then make a new heading component, and we're going to give it some tailwind classes. It's automatically applying anything from this heading styles object here, so that we get different sizes of text and any other style we want to change up for the different heading type. And then from there, we're going to pass some children into this heading component or any of the components. So we're going to pass in the children, but before we do, we're going to map over them and run serialize again. So a really good example of how the recursion is working is on an unordered list or an ordered list. But for this example, we only have an unordered list. So when a node comes in to the function, we are checking if it's an unordered list. It is. So there's going to be the type, which is just a string of what it is. And then there's going to be children. So first thing we do is create the unordered list element. And then we're going to map through the children from that array. And it's going to send it back through the function, the serialize function. And when it's checking for the type of the children, it's going to go here because the children are list items. So once we get there, we actually have to serialize it once again because let's find our list item. There we go. So we're going through the children now, which is another array. So now we're checking that type. It's a list item. And if you see, we have children again. So within there, we have another array. This time it's only one. This time when it goes through, it finds there's one condition that's a little different. So there's one condition that's checked every time. And if the node of that child is text, so it's checking if this text node exists. If that text node exists, that's the absolute bottom of that array. And from there, we're gonna set the using dangerously set HTML, but we're escaping it if I think that's okay. I hope that's okay. If anybody, I guess that's the best way to find out. This is what I'm doing, so I'm sure anyone in the comments will let me know how horrible this is to do. But if you do that, give me a good example of what I should do. That'd be awesome. So yeah, so what we're doing is we're going to drop in this the contents of the text into here, and then that will finish the recursion and return that section of the JSX and ultimately the entire JSX, which then gets rendered to the screen, the React. So that's it so far. I'm still working on all the different parts. I definitely have to figure out how to do code. That I see being probably a task in and of itself. So I'm probably going to leave that until after the site's launched because I do want to get this site up. I've got some other stuff I want to be building in public, and I don't want to be building just a portfolio. So I do want to get some of my portfolio stuff in there, and then kind of move on and then come back to this in little bits. Thanks for watching.